What's up, y'all? On the Spectrum, episode 11. Tonight, it's just going to be Vicky and I. We're just going to be talking about being alone, solitude. It's going to be running through that. It's just us tonight. Hope y'all enjoy it. Check it out. Hey!
Hey!
We are in effect. We are in action.
Live.
We're live. Man, so I really gotta go get me some more dress shirts. That's all I have is sweaters right now. It's 95 degrees outside. If you see me,
sir, I love the turtleneck.
it's not a turtleneck. This is a sweater. But if you see me wipe my forehead, because
Yeah,
a little toasty over here. So.
Abdul, you want me to sing you some anime shirts?
Oh hell yeah, let's do it. I'm thinking about wearing them for the show. Some Dragon Ball Z, some Jujutsu Kaisen. You know what I'm saying?
Hey. Chemical says Houston is hot right now. My bad. I'm not in Houston. Sorry.
Yeah. What's the temperature over there?
Like 78.
What up, Ty? Tyrone.
Ty. Welcome, you guys. So glad to see y'all tonight. Welcome, Elton.
So this is my favorite no lyric song ever made. It's by Odyssey. It's just music, and I love it.
I love it. Sometimes that's all you need is the instrumentals.
Right.
They tell a whole story. I love that.
Yeah.
What up, Thomas? I love the new desk setup, by the way, Thomas. Very dope. Love it. Let's see. Old school boo boo. Hey.
Great name. Great name.
I know. I love that name. Old school boo boo.
Yeah. So there's a oh man, I found a song by this artist, but he has an album, and the whole album's called Boo Boo. I can't remember the name of the artist. Let me see the name of the artist. I have to find the name of it.
You're gonna have to send me that.
Yeah, so Toro Imoy is the name of the artist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he has a whole album called Boo Boo.
Okay.
Literally, the album's called Boo Boo. So pretty good.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie, it's not bad.
Okay, I'll have to listen to it. That's what's up. We'll be getting started in about 1 minute, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us, even though there was no promotion.
Yeah, that's on.
But y'all know what time it is.
That's on that.
It's Wednesday, 8 p.m. Y'all know what it is.
Yeah, that's on Abdul. That's my fault. Abdul been kind of busy.
He has been busy, you guys. We both been busy. What up, Lex? Hey, gorgeous. Hey, Teddy.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
And guys, before we get started, are there any other anime fans in here? I know Abdul likes anime. Anybody else? Or am I like the only blurred black nerd in here?
Me too. Me and you. I think there's some in here. It's got to be some. Hey, Mom.
There gotta be somebody in here.
Somebody in here, man. They are.
Catherine says, Or
The double hands
Catherine
up.
says yes.
Thomas says
Thomas
yo.
says no. Okay, you guys, I want y'all to see my shirt.
Okay. Okay.
We got the little Kakashi Obito thing going on from Naruto. Any Naruto fans? Yeah, I love that. You know, Kakashi's like baby daddy. So, and
Okay,
for
so I
those who
have
haven't seen Naruto, this is Kakashi Sensei, and this is Obito.
all right, so full transparency. I never got into Naruto. I never got into it. You know what's funny is like one time I started, and then I think I started watching One Punch Man instead. I just like couldn't get into it. I know.
So you'll watch Saitama punching some blubber, but
Yes.
you won't watch
Pretty much.
Infinite Tsukiyomi. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, I mean that. I'm gonna give it a shot though. I'm gonna get another shot.
You need to give it a shot.
I'm gonna give it another shot. I promise. I'm gonna make it happen before
Start
2020.
with Naruto Shippuden then.
All
If
right.
you weren't really like getting into the first one.
I didn't really get into the first one, but I'll do it. I'm gonna make it happen. I promise. You got my word.
Okay.
Make it happen.
Lex says, I'm forced to watch it because my son loves it. I'm less enthused.
Smart
Ma'am.
Smart kid. Smart kid. Moms calls it cartoons. Okay, so look, I have a debate.
It's not cartoons.
I'm the only one in my family outside of my nephew. My nephew's the only one that watches anime. Me and him. And I think my stepdad does sometimes too, but they call it cartoons, and it's so disrespectful to call it a cartoon.
It is.
Like, yo, it's like, don't do that, man. It's anime. Call it what it is. It's anime. So, yeah.
I remember when I wore this to the gym, and this older guy,
Yeah.
he approached me because I was doing the jump rope.
Okay.
He's like, oh, giving me compliments, and they're like, oh, what is that on your shirt? That's a cool shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, it's from Naruto. It's an anime, and he was like, oh, those Chinese cartoons, huh? I said,
Excuse you.
Sir.
It's not cartoons, fam. Excuse you, dog.
Sir.
Yeah. So me and Vicky have decided that we're gonna go to Comic-Con together, and we're gonna dress up.
Yeah.
I'm here to let everybody know that I'm probably gonna dress up as Inuyasha. It is what it is. So
I love it.
I'm gonna get the white hair and everything. We good. We locked in.
I love it, and welcome, Stephanie. Yeah, I'm still deciding, but one of the options is Mikasa from Attack on Titan. So y'all just be ready. We about to show up and show out. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started, lovies. Thank y'all for enduring my nerdy spill. So welcome back. We are on episode 11. Wow. Talking about the power of alone. And so I'm just going to say, like, this is like the first season of On the Spectrum, and we have dived into various aspects of relationships. Sorry, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. But the different aspects of relationships, the different issues that you may run into just dealing with coupling. But tonight, we're going to talk about just the power of being by yourself, right?
Yeah.
And also, we're also going to switch up the format tonight because instead of having one special guest, we actually want to invite you guys in the audience to interact with us tonight. So we would love, in about another 20 minutes or so, we would love maybe max 3 people in the audience to join our live and share your thoughts about what we're talking about tonight, right?
Yes.
So don't be shy. If you have something you want to say, please be sure to raise your little hand emoji or something, and we'll let you join. Okay?
Absolutely. It definitely is one of those opportunities. I know that this, Vicky and I have talked about this before. This topic has been something that I spoke about specifically. As a man, I feel like every man needs to go through this process of being by themselves. I call it the initiation process. I got a lot of stuff that's based on that I'm doing. So very excited to get this conversation going. So,
Absolutely. So let's get started. Abdul, why do you think people fear loneliness?
uh, off the top of my head, the number one reason is I think it's painful to be alone. And let me preface it by saying this: I think that there's a difference between being alone and solitude. Solitude is something that's healthy. Being alone tends to have, tends to put you in an unhealthy place. But I think people fear solitude because you will have to face being alone before you get to solitude. Like there's steps to it. So that being alone part is tough for people because you 9 times out of 10 have some type of childhood trauma, have some type of trauma that you've experienced inside of whether it be a sibling relationship, a friendship, a romantic relationship. You'll face some sort of trauma there before you get to solitude, and that it's really uncomfortable for people. They don't. Nobody wants to sit and go through that silent monster, to say the least. So,
Of course.
yeah,
Of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
Absolutely. And I agree. I
Mm-hmm.
would say that the biggest part of it is having to face those inner demons,
Mm,
having to address things that you haven't healed within yourself,
right.
maybe childhood things, maybe something that happened in adulthood. You have to face those things in the silence.
Yes.
And a lot of people use relationships as buffers
Whew.
to
Amen.
drown out the noise.
Amen. Amen.
The internal noise,
Mm-hmm.
and just that healing, that little voice, that little kid inside of all of us that wants to heal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to address that because the work is hard.
It is. It is. It's a
It's
lot.
painful
Yeah,
and it's ugly.
I agree. It's a lot easier to have somebody next to you watching that TV show versus you sitting with yourself, or have somebody next to you on that trip by yourself versus you dealing with it on your own. Yeah, that's a struggle for a lot of reasons. I actually was trying to do some research with regards to if I could find any peer-reviewed reports on being alone, solitude. There was obviously a lot of benefits. I kind of came across a lot of what they deemed rebound relationships, and so kind of in my search for being alone, and of course the numbers for rebound relationships were like it never works. Don't do it. So why people do it, I have no idea. But you know, yeah, I didn't find too much on just solitude outside of it worked. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, Abdul, tell us about a time in your life where you allowed loneliness to control your life and it turned out for the worse.
Oh man. So I growing up, I was the more sensitive brother of the family, right? I was into my emotions probably a lot more than probably anybody else in the household, honestly. But um, a lot of people dealt with their childhood trauma in our house specifically. I'll speak about our house. They dealt with it differently. For me, I found peace as a child inside of romantic relationships. And so I found myself at one point, kind of, this was in college, like a little bit after college. I looked back and I was like, yeah, I'm a whole serial monogamist. Like I just couldn't be alone. And so there wasn't one specific instance. There was just a time period in my life where, um, as I went back, I kind of fit all the signs of being a love addict. I fit all the signs of being a codependent. And I just couldn't bear being by myself. I remember one time very vividly telling, well, I can't remember what family it was, my brother and my father, I think at one point, they were like, man, like, you just need to sit by yourself. And I'm like, I was like, it was like kind of like a pejorative to tell me that I was to sit by myself in the house alone. It was like,
Mm.
it kind of like hurt my feelings. Why would you tell me to do that? But so going back, it wasn't really just one instance. It was a time period where I was just like, I could not deal with myself. So
Mm.
how about you?
Hmm.
Let it out. Let it out.
No, I'm thinking. Let me think. Because there definitely have been two relationships where it was just like, this should never have happened. And
Yeah.
I think all of us ladies have been there where there's just like this one that's, I would say maybe my ex before Derek. Because it was more like we were in the same circle. I used to feel like the best relationships are going to happen if we're in the same circle and we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Which honestly was quite limiting.
Yeah.
Because depending on the people in your immediate circle,
right.
you're very limited to only this handful of people. But I just felt like, oh, you know, people that you don't have a long history with, it's never going to work. So I kind of allowed mutual associates to push us together. And it was something that never should have happened. But because I was lonely and trying to figure out who I was and like, oh, I do want to be married one day, I just went with the flow, knowing damn well I didn't need to be there.
Right.
And so I caused, even though he did things in the relationship as well, I take accountability for the hurt that I caused because I couldn't fully be emotionally present.
Wow. That's
and
big.
So I started pushing him away, being emotionally distant, things like that.
Yeah, that's big.
And the whole time I knew like this never should have happened, but I let it continue on for like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah. Two things. A, congratulations, because that's huge to take accountability. A lot of people struggle doing that, so that's big. And this kind of segues into a question. Do you feel relationships hinder personal growth? I.e., do you feel that relationship hindered your personal growth?
In the beginning, yes, because this was the last relationship that I was in where I still had those negative childhood stigmas on me, where it was like, because, you know, growing up in the household I grew up in, very suppressed voice, oppressive, low functioning male figure. So it was like, I did a lot of things to make him happy, did a lot of things to elevate him. And I did a lot to elevate him.
Yeah.
And it was like I was just following this same trend of like, when I come into your life, I do everything I can to make it better. But when we separate, your life is the only one that's elevated versus mine has either remained stagnant, moved linear, or it's fell off.
Yeah.
So that was the last relationship I was in that I still had that very toxic mentality of like, what can I do for you instead of what can we do together and what can I also receive?
Yeah.
So yeah, in the beginning it did hinder my growth, but mentally as I began changing and turning into the person I am now, that's when I started doing things for myself. I started speaking out more. It wasn't that I was being combative, but I would just have more honest conversations. And because he wasn't used to me speaking my piece, this would start arguments. And then I did something exclusively for myself. I joined Equinox Gym because I wanted a very nice high-end gym to go to. And so I did that exclusively for myself, which I never would have did before.
All right.
And then, as you know, Equinox is where I met Derek.
Nice. It all leads in that direction if you start taking decisions, for yourself. You know, in my opinion, I don't think relationships hinder growth. I think there are signs that can kind of point you towards it being something that can help you or hurt you. You know, I hear this a lot for women specifically. If they don't feel supported, right? If they don't feel like they have a voice, like you just kind of like you just mentioned, you know, that's one. I'll speak for men, and I'll say that you know, if you have goals, if you have things that you want to accomplish on this planet, right? I feel like as a man, your responsibility is to find a purpose, and if you have a purpose and that purpose isn't being supported, that may be a telltale sign that it's probably a little unhealthy for you. It's not going to grow you in any capacity. And I'm not talking about just the age-old, hey, you can do it, hey, I believe you, although that is important, words of affirmation is important. You know, I mean somebody who's willing to look into your vision and find where you're missing some pieces and offer solutions, right? So if you're somebody who's extremely dedicated, committed, and you work all the time, but you're lacking a little bit of kind of introspection into your purpose and what you're doing, maybe she can provide that, right? Or on the opposite side, if you offer too much introspection and not enough go, can she offer some pieces there? And I think as a man, that's important to find in a woman, just kind of matching the pieces that you don't have. So in a relationship, if you're, and we're talking about heterosexual relationships, of course, but in a relationship with a man and woman, if you're, you know, if you're looking for growth, I think those things are important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this question, it's a little more abstract, but would you say loneliness correlates with failure?
Man, that's tough. I kind of want to say yes. Here's why. Loneliness is the in my opinion the negative aspect of solitude, right? If you feel alone, right? There's, again, like I mentioned before, there's a difference between being alone and solitude. Like solitude is the healthy space that you're in, where you know you being by yourself is feeding you, right? So if you, like you mentioned, you went to Equinox, that fed you. That was something for you. That I consider that solitude, right?
Yes.
I know we like anime, right? I don't care. My dad used to kind of tell me this: find stuff that you can do no matter who's around, right? So for me, I like anime, right? Or Tai Chi, right? I can do those things whether I'm with 20 people or nobody at all. If my kids around, if a significant other is, it doesn't matter. I can do those things regardless. And so for me, that's like a healthy, that's solitude. That's a healthy alone space to be in. Loneliness is when you're in that space, and it can kind of lead to depression, sadness, anxiety, you know, a lot of those things that being by yourself you can handle. That's alone. So I do kind of see loneliness as a failure. You shouldn't be alone. I wrote some stuff down, which I'll kind of read towards the end of this live, that you're never really alone. You know, if you look at how we're all connected at all points in time, if you choose to look at things like that, if you're a spiritual individual, you're never really alone. You're always connected to somebody in some capacity. You may not be around them, but you're not alone, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, I kind of see loneliness as a sign of failure.
I do too. And the reason I kind of correlate that is because I feel like the negative connotation of loneliness, it means you have failed to understand something. In this current chapter of your life, there's something here in this space that you need to figure out. And the universe, God, is not going to allow you to move forward until you figure this out.
Yeah. And are you speaking specifically about, like I said, just relationships, romantic relationships?
It doesn't even really have to be just relationships. It could be, because there are people in relationships that still feel alone. And to me, that's one of the most horrible feelings ever. How are you going to be in a relationship and still feel lonely? Sitting right next to the person and feeling like we're still 100 miles apart.
Right.
So the loneliness, to me, it's like you fail to understand something. You haven't passed a particular, I guess, spiritual test.
And so, okay, let me. I'm gonna delve off into that just a bit. If you're with somebody and you feel alone, do you feel that that's maybe putting too much responsibility on the other person to make you feel a specific way? Because the way I see it, right, and this, I may have an odd way of looking at it, but like I'm good by myself now, right? I have solitude. That space is peaceful for me, right? Like I enjoy that. If somebody comes into my life, if we're in a relationship, I don't think at this point in my life I can ever feel alone anymore, because I know how to be by myself. Even if you are here and we're not connected, I don't feel alone. If that makes sense. Am I making sense there?
It does.
Okay.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is, for the right kind of relationships, for the healthy, soul nourishing type of relationships, this person should be feeding something into you. No, you're not depending on them just 100% to entertain you, to stimulate you, to anything like that. But if they're not pouring into you in some kind of way, then like, what are they doing here?
True.
Because I mean, it's 2021. Girls out here having hot girl summer, and yams alone just are not gonna cut it anymore. They're not, ladies. They're not. Listen, look at my shirt. They're not. So listen.
Oh man, that's funny. I like that. Oh jeez. Well, so.
But yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna ask another question. So for people asking themselves, is this a time of my life I should be alone? How would you answer that? Like, how does one find or realize that space?
Right. So if someone was asking me, should I be alone? Well, one, if you're even asking that question, that's a hint right there. Something is off. Something is out of whack, a little bit out of balance. And that may not necessarily mean you need to leave that person, but it's definitely a sign that something's out of whack. If you feel like you have no moment in the day where there's peace, like if from the time you open your eyes to the time you lay down at night, it seems like there's just chaos in some form or fashion, whether it's the kids, the parents, the in-laws, the neighbors, the damn coworkers. If there's just always chaos. And nothing about this person's presence in your life brings you peace, that could be a huge sign. Also, if you feel like being with this person completely derails you from your purpose, especially men, because I am a huge proponent of the purpose-driven man. Huge.
Absolutely.
So, especially men, if you feel like this woman's presence in your life, you're completely derailed, you haven't written a goal, you haven't hit the gym in 11 years.
If you're spending a lot of money.
That's a huge sign.
If you're spending a lot of money, golly.
Yes. Hello. You running up the credit card. Not paying it back early or on time. Come on now. Clear signs.
Right.
Abdul, why are you laughing? Have you run up your credit card?
I've never done that. Trust me.
Okay.
No, I think having a brother in the NFL, I was well prepared and prepped about, spending money on women. I was made sure to not do that.
Good.
Yeah. No, I was good on that. I was good on that regard. I'll say this. I wrote down signs that you may not be ready for a relationship. Now, this may correlate in a way, right? This is how you can kind of tell you need to take some time for yourself and don't bother about getting involved in something. So I'm going to tie this in. There were 7 points. If you care about finding the perfect partner and not focusing on yourself, right? What I found is like there's a lot of people who just can't be alone, man. Like they just can't spend time by themselves, and they're constantly looking for somebody to just hold them for the night, or even if it's not just sex, right? It's come with me to the movies. I don't want to go by myself. Come with me to this restaurant that I want to try out, right? Or if you're constantly thinking about, man, like this is the type of man or woman I want. Here are I have my list. I want them to match this list, right? When you're constantly in that space, that's a sign maybe you're not ready for that. Second one is you're still working on your goals and discovering who you are. If you haven't traveled to the places that you wanted to by yourself yet, if you wrote down a list of things that you want to accomplish before, so you can approach the next relationship saying, I have these experiences that I can offer to this relationship, you know, it may be time for you to still stay where you're at. Don't necessarily get involved with anybody. The third one is you want somebody to save you. Again, like if you're in a place of, if you're in a tough place, right? Depression, whatever, sadness, you got tons of family issues with your work, whatever the case may be. If you're looking for somebody to come save you from that space, you kind of need to stay there until you get yourself out, essentially. One that ties into that is if you want to save somebody else, right? I think a lot of times we don't necessarily speak about that. There's a lot of people out here who bend their backs for others, right? Who will give their shirt off their backs for others, who will give money if they need it. If you're constantly looking to help somebody get them out of the space that they're in, that may be a sign that you need to kind of stay by yourself a little bit as well. If you still frequently think and talk about your ex, like I think that's kind of a no-brainer. If you still talk about your ex, man, you might need to, you know, kind of take care of that before you hop into another one. You have a hard time apologizing or admitting that you're wrong. Remember I said at the beginning of this, you mentioned how you took accountability for what went wrong inside of the relationship. That was huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's huge. I think I hear this complaint more from men than women, but I think men do complain a lot that women lack the ability to take accountability. But you know, I will say if you struggle with that, if you can't say, hey, all right, this is where I messed up, you know, this is what I did wrong, yeah, you might need to be by yourself a little bit.
Absolutely. And ladies, that is so powerful. Like, there is real power in being able to take accountability for where you fucked up. Just being honest, like,
my father,
who's it hurting? Who's it hurting? It's only making you better to be able to honestly evaluate yourself. There's nothing wrong with that.
My father used to tell me this, that in any relationship, if there's a rift, it always takes two. So even if you did fault that person or somebody faulted you, sure, but what did you do incorrectly, right? Something you did aided in that, right? Now, we're not talking about extremes, abuse, maybe even infidelity, but, you know, if you guys are arguing constantly about something, there's something you're doing and there's something the other person is doing as well.
Yes.
That's true. And then the last one was just being emotionally closed off. I think that's, you know, I think everybody should go to therapy and figure out how to express their emotions healthily. So.
I love that. That's a beautiful list.
Thank you.
You didn't even share that with me in the pre-show. That's beautiful.
I'm sorry. I waited for this to kind of let it out.
I love it. I love it. So I do want to take a pause here. Let's see, read some of these comments. LCM says there are some unresolved issues. Common Call says, I hate shopping even online. Lex says, I do nothing but spend. Come on, boo. You can't just be spending all the time.
Yeah.
Or spend on me. Let's go get wine.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. And then Catherine says, love the list. Absolutely. So we're going to take a pause here and we're going to invite someone from the audience, whoever wants to join the live and speak their piece. Again, staying on topic, the power of alone. Answering any of the questions, maybe sharing a story about how loneliness during the wrong time of your life went completely left. Or on the opposite, you can share a story with us about how choosing loneliness during a certain part of your life led to something even better. So if anyone wants to join in, please let us know in the chat. We're looking at it right now. Do like a little hand emoji or something.
So I did see that, and she's been consistently watching us. Lex said that she wanted to hop in. So
Yay!
Might get Lex. Lex, do you want to come in? Say yes, you do in the comments, and we'll let you in if that's what you want to do.
Yes. Lex, you better say yes. You're in here all the time.
Oh, let's see if I can add her. Let's see.
Thomas says he loves the topic, reminds him of his time in North Carolina. Okay, so we have a second volunteer as well. Lex!
Hey guys.
Hello, beautiful. Thank you for joining.
Really quickly, I wanted to say, because, and it was just like building in me, and I couldn't wait for y'all to tag me in. So it's kind of like I needed advice or somebody tell me something, because like you talk about the loneliness and the solitude, and to me the solitude is the graduation of loneliness. I think of it always as that yin and yang thing, and or your dark, or your higher self and your lower self. Okay, and when I think of the loneliness, is of course the lower self, because you're looking at it as um I'm by myself, so I'm lonely. I never really had that. And I'm starting to wonder, like you said, are we, am I emotionally closed off? And if so, how do I open myself up? And then it makes me look back to my past and know that my mom was not she's not a very emotional woman, never been touchy feely. And I've noticed in my family, the men have been more of the emotional ones, and the women have been more like the, and am I taking on that archetype? But it bothers me. At first it didn't. I was like, oh, I mean, I'm strong. I have that masculine energy. But me and my estranged husband separated 3 years ago, almost 4 in November. And he's moved on. He has a girlfriend. They stay together. And my daughter, which I'm extremely close to, one day was like, Mom, I need to talk to you. And this is a child. Okay. And I was like, okay. And then she says, you need a man. And I said, excuse me. And she was like, it's been like a long time. Daddy has a girlfriend. Like, she was like, I want to see you happy. And I was like, but baby, I am happy. I told her, I said, I wanted, when I first split from your dad, to make sure that I was getting to know me again, because we were young when we got together, and I'm a different person now. And I said, plus you guys are my happiness, and I want to make sure that I am whole before I just jump back into something, broken. And then she says, but Mommy, we talked about it, meaning her and my other kids, and we want to see you in a healthy relationship. And my eyes just were like, and she was like, because when you were a daddy, that was not right. We want to see it right. And so now, and this was recently, and so now it has me thinking, like, am I hindering? Because I'm thinking I'm doing a good job by not exposing them to another man. But it has been a while. And so am I not doing the right thing? Because so in some instances, I feel like I have been emotion closed off on purpose without knowing. Because like recently I had a guy say, I've been trying to get with you and you just won't respond to me. I haven't even noticed that I wasn't responding to him. It's like I really stay in my own lane. I love and enjoy myself, like time with myself. I think I'm dope. Like, and so I don't need that extra,
So let me jump here and say this, right? I think from a male's perspective, what I'm hearing your daughter say, right, is yes, she does want you to be happy, and I think she wants to see you in that vulnerable position, right? I think kids naturally understand that when you're with somebody, you open yourself up, right? And I think she wants to see you there. Now, in order to get to that space, you have to open yourself up emotionally, right? Now, how do you practice that now prior to getting into a relationship so you can do it in a relationship?
Right.
I might lean on Vicky for this one. Vicky, if you could, how could you tell a woman to start the process of opening herself up prior to getting into a relationship?
I would begin small. I would begin by getting comfortable making small conversations with people just in everyday life. Like sometimes it's a little bit easier for me because I teach yoga and people naturally feel very comfortable to come talk to me either after class or in the gym. So many times when I don't want them to because I'm not even teaching, but just getting comfortable, starting to make those small conversations and feeling like that space inside of you blossom. because there is something in our divine feminine energy that begins to blossom as we start to cultivate that ability to just have little conversations with people, just like feed that back and forth. So I don't know about your daily life. Is there anything you do that you normally see, like new people?
I'm an assistant principal. I'm talking and I'm with people all the time. So I'm communicating. That's not like I open up. I just think it's so platonic. I don't open myself past that platonic level.
I see.
Okay, what about outside of the school?
No.
I must admit, I'm a flirt. So again, it's platonic. Like I'll call them boo, I'll call them bae. I'll let them text me sometimes. But then when they start wanting to like go on dates, it's too much.
Okay.
So let me ask you this: do you feel that you are going to lose something by allowing another man to come into your life?
I do. I feel like that it's a subconscious thing. I feel like I'm going to lose myself again because I feel like in my marriage I lost myself trying to cultivate him, kind of like what you were saying with your ex. And it took me so long. It's taking me so long to have to build myself back up again. Or I mean, I have built myself back up, but it's like that being vulnerable again. That's what I'm afraid of. I do not like vulnerable.
So I will say this. Well, first of all, let me ask you: do you have a journal?
I do.
Are you completely 100% open and transparent in that journal?
Right.
In the journal, yes. Not.
Okay. All right, perfect. So here's the deal. The way that you express yourself in that journal is a way that you need, or you don't have to yet, when you feel comfortable, express yourself that way to a man, right? And here's the truth. And I hear this a lot from ladies, right? I'm going to touch on this topic. I hear women say, when he's the right energy and the right man, then I'll open up. Bullshit.
I can say that because I don't know what that is.
Well, I'm just saying I've heard that before, but that's bullshit in my opinion, right? If you're an open individual, if you're an individual that's emotional, that is in touch with their emotions, that understands how to respect, how to express in a healthy way with boundaries, a man doesn't need to be something in order for you to be that. In my opinion, I feel like women naturally do that, right? If they have children, or if they're around, majority of women, if they're around children, they're very comforting, they're very open, they're very loving, they're very caring, right? This is the same way that a man is looking for a woman to be, right? And if you can do that in a journal, if you can do that with children, if you can do that, with your homegirls or whatever the case may be, you can do it with a man too, and understand that. I think there just needs to be an understanding that whatever he does has nothing to do with you. Whatever actions, decisions he takes are his own, and they don't have anything to do with you.
Now that's where the problem lies, because I do take a lot of accountability for what other people do, and then that person that will give the shirt off their back, that's me, and so I have to learn to create boundaries too. But I won't stay long. I just wanted to bring that up because I know y'all have other people to invite in. But it was
no, we're good. We appreciate you. We do. We appreciate you coming in.
All right.
And I'm going to be checking in on you, Lex. Now that I know that.
Thank you.
I'm going to be checking on you, and we're going to have girly check-ins about opening up and opening your heart for that space for someone to come in.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Thank you, Lex.
How do I get
Thank
off
you so
of this?
much, sweetie.
I think you just press the X. I think there's an X in there. Yeah, you just press the X. You'll be good.
All right. And so our second person, I did see Hamacall said he wanted to join in as well. So let's invite him in.
Let me see.
Yes, you guys dropped some hearts for Lex. She did good.
You did.
And I absolutely love her vulnerability and her honesty. So
we're working on it. Okay, there he goes. Okay, cool.
okay, you see him?
I got it. Sent the invite.
Hey!
What up,
Hello.
boss? How you doing, man? How you doing?
Doing good.
What's your name? What's your name? Can you give us your name, man?
Carlos. My name is Carlos.
Carlos. Perfect.
Yeah. I was in a podcast with Arian. I don't know if you saw me that. One of the fans.
Yeah, I did see that. You did do yeah, when he was doing his What Now podcast. Yeah, okay, I know who you are. Gotcha.
So I was the kind of person that I would stay in relationships just so I wouldn't be by myself, right? So I would stay in relationships and I prolong the relationship and I put up with a lot of stuff because just the thought of being by myself was worse than whatever the situation was. Right. So I finally meet somebody. It was a guy, by the way. We hit it up. We got together. Mm-hmm. We were together actually 9 years.
Okay.
So, wow. But it was around the third year he was diagnosed with colon cancer.
Ouch.
So he during the following 6 years, he was pretty sick. It was a lot of treatments, a lot of stuff. So I took care of himself the whole time. I didn't take care of myself, which is not a good thing, by the way. You have to take care of yourself so you can take care of the other person.
Right.
But at that time, he was so sick that I felt selfish if I would take care of myself, right? So I gained a lot of weight, and I mentioned that because it will come relevant later. So after 6 years of being sick, he passed away.
Oh, man.
So I was in a way kind of forced to be by myself because, you know what I mean? Like it was, we were together for 9 years. So we had a house together. We had a whole relationship together. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden I was by myself. I got home and I was by myself, so I was forced to be in that situation, which was extremely hard. Because it was mourning at the same time of the fear of just be by myself.
Right.
So it's all that together. So I went through a period of time that it was extremely hard.
Right.
But I gained like a lot of weight. So one of the things I did was exercise. I started exercising, and that helped me so much. Helped me with the morning. Helped me with obviously with my health. I ended up losing 80 pounds. But it was like a therapy for me. I will get on the treadmill and all those emotions will come and I will be either walking or running and crying at the same time. But it was all that. All that. People will be like, what's wrong with this guy? Yes. But it was like all that energy coming out,
Yeah.
But what I want to say is that I was forced to be by myself. I learned to I started meditating. I started thinking about all those things that made me fearful of being by myself.
Yeah.
Now, he passed away almost 8 years ago. So now I'm so happy to be by myself. Whoever wants to be in my life has to be better than my solitude. It has to be, because now I'm afraid I'm never going to find anybody because I'm so happy by myself.
So, Carlos, let me ask you this. What would you say you were afraid of being alone? Like, what were you afraid of being single?
To be honest, I think it was just maybe confronting my own demons, maybe. Just obviously, I had a very understanding family, loving family, but, as a gay person, you always go through a lot,
Yeah.
When I was younger, there was a lot of people chasing me, beating me up, that kind of thing. You go through all those situations.
Yeah.
And maybe just trying to revive all those things and get them out of my system was scary thought. Was very, very scary thought. Yeah. So I guess being with somebody will help me just not think about it, because somebody will love me, or
Yeah.
take care of me or be with me. So there was no danger of the rejection and the even if it was some rejection that I didn't realize, I didn't notice, but I masked that with we're in a relationship, so
Perfect.
it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so I guess I was all that scared of that. But
Yeah.
when I was forced to be by myself, you know, at that point, I said it was forced because morning I didn't want to be with anybody. I just lost the person that I loved,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to be with anybody.
Yeah.
And even my friends and family, well, they were trying to help me, but it was hard because it was so we were together for a while, and 9 years is a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it was hard for me to be with anybody at the
Yeah.
same time. You know what I mean? So
Understand.
it was a big change from one point to the other.
So let me let
Uh-huh.
me ask you. Well, let me say this first of all. Congratulations on losing the weight. I know that's huge. Congratulations on sitting with yourself. I don't think people get congratulations for that enough. So congratulations for that, man. I know that's
Thank
huge
you.
step. Even more than losing the weight, taking
Yeah,
care of yourself, sitting with yourself, man, is huge. So congratulations for that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned exercise was the first thing that you. Well, let me ask you: was exercise the first thing that you grabbed onto? Because I know that people when they hit this place of powering through being alone, right?
Hmm.
They the universe is a vacuum. So when you remove something, you have to replace it with something else, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so if you remove an individual that you've been with for so long, 9 times out of 10, anxiety, depression, or something like that kicks in. And then after you get tired of that, you don't want to do that anymore. You grab something else. So was exercise the first thing that you grabbed?
I did, and maybe it was because I played football when I was younger.
Yeah,
So I was used to that discipline and that exercise and all that.
yeah,
And when I gained all that weight, I was feeling sluggish. I was feeling even more depressed.
yeah,
And I felt like at one point like, it could have spiraled the wrong way, right?
yeah. Of course.
Because I was bigger, I was miserable, I was sad, you know, it was all those things. But I went back to exercising because I couldn't even move, you know, I was so big. And
Yeah,
I think that really saved me
yeah.
because they gave me something, like you said, that I was able to grab on.
Yes.
And I kept going, I kept going.
Yeah.
So it took me a while, but
Yeah.
you know, I said that I had the discipline since I played football before. So I
Good.
just kept
Good.
going, kept going. And once you start losing weight, it's like motivation to keep going, to keep
Yeah,
going. You
it's like
know,
it's a drug after that. You want some
it,
more. Yeah.
oh yeah, now I still go like 6 times a week.
Good.
It's something to me, that's like a no-brainer. I have to take care of
Good.
myself.
Good. Man, Carlos, man, congratulations, brother. Thank you for hopping on with us. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
You got a great
Thank you
story.
for having me. Thank you for having me.
No,
I
we
love your
love it,
show.
man. Again, you know us. So if you need any help with anything, man, shoot us a DM. We got you.
Sure will.
And I'm giving you a big hug through the phone.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right,
Man,
brother.
thank you.
Thank
Have a
you
good
so
one, man.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all drop some hearts in the chat for
Yeah,
Carlos.
man, what a great
Wow.
story. What a great story. I know a lot of the times on this show we have conversations about heterosexual relationships specifically, but you know, I understand I have some family members that are in the LGBTQ community, and so, you know, I am an advocate for them, and you know, anything that we can do to make them feel comfortable, obviously we're gonna do here. So you know,
Absolutely.
we will at some point have conversations about homosexual relationships and the entire community. So we appreciate you guys for tapping in with us. Carlos, thank you if you're still there for tapping in
Yes,
with us and
thank
sharing your story,
you.
man. We appreciate you, brother.
And welcome, Pam. I see you joined the live. Thank you for joining in, Boo. Do we have a third guest that wanted to hop in and speak their piece,
Yes.
answering any of the questions or talking about the power of silence, the benefits of being single, the loneliness versus solitude? Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add? We wanted to make this a show where you guys can interact with us
Yes.
some more.
Yes. Ooh, the benefits of being single. Well, let me ask you, Vicky, what did you find prior to getting in a relationship? What did you find the benefits were to being single? Give me like 3.
The biggest one, and it was the negative of, you know, childhood and things like that, was unlearning, put everyone else's needs before yours.
I like that.
And I learned that, unfortunately, through watching how my mom behaved when she was married to my former stepfather.
Yeah.
So seeing, in my eyes, I saw her just kind of like diminishing herself and fading into just kind of like a shell of what she was before.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mom was, you know, is like beautiful and lived on a ranch and had wild horses and a cowgirl and the whole thing, y'all, the whole freaking thing, and loved football and boxing, and she's crazy. And so to see her like become so silent and more like withdrawn, and to see like the power of someone manipulating you year after year after year, and it's just kind of like, so that was a big one for me. Was learning how to just like, no, Vicky, what the hell do you want to do? Do you want to go to this party? Do you want to go outside today? Do you want to get dinner started and have dinner on the table at 5:30 every day? Or do you not? Or maybe you just don't want to eat dinner today. All these little things I had to like unlearn and figure out. And it sounds silly to some people, but when you grew up in a household like that, these little things become a huge deal.
Right. I agree. You know, I will say this, after being in relationships for so long and not giving myself opportunity to be by myself, I didn't know simple things that I liked about myself, right? I literally did this one thing. I remember I was like, man, I couldn't remember what my favorite color was for the longest time. And it's crazy, right? But I don't even know what my favorite color is. And so once I was like, yeah, I like that color. Like, it's my favorite color. I started getting T-shirts. I started getting hats and pictures on the walls. And I started getting like journals and notebooks that were that color. And it was like, yo, it was just something that small and simple you lose. And to kind of come back to that is pretty unique. It's pretty cool. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think we have somebody who wants to come in. Maria, let's see if we won't get her in. I think she wants to come in.
Yes, come on in, boo.
There we go. Is she there? Maria, you there?
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
How you doing?
And just to make sure, you don't have on Bluetooth or anything like that, right?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You don't have Bluetooth or anything, do you?
No.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Good. Just so we could hear you clearly.
Yeah, so I really like what you guys are saying, and like for me, like growing up, I always thought that like being in a relationship was like the most important thing. Like before being in a relationship, like I never learned how to love myself, and then I was in a relationship, and I've always been the person that always put other people first before myself. And when I was in a relationship, like I didn't really love myself because I would put so much love into the other person and all my energy into the other person. But until I broke up with that person, that's when I really started to like slowly but surely like learn how to love myself and like really find what interests me and what I really love to do. And like you were saying, discovering what your favorite color was and things like that. Like for me, it took me a long time to love myself because I always felt like watching TV and like my parents always thought that you had to have a person in order to be happy. But that's really the case. Like you have to love yourself first before you even bring someone into the equation or to a relationship. If you don't love yourself, then how can you love someone else and bring them into your relationship if you don't appreciate yourself first? So like for me, it took almost like maybe like almost 2 years to really find find myself who I wanted to be and who I was meant to be. And now, like, I'm really happy being single. Like, I can travel, I can go wherever I want, I can do my
There's a
own thing
benefit.
without having someone to tell, oh, you have to be home at this time, you can't do this, you can't do that. But yeah, I really like, for me, it like took me a long time, but now I'm at a point where I feel like I'm happy with my life and where I'm at and everything I'm doing. Right now, I'm running races, which I never thought that I would ever run a 10K or even a half marathon. And now I'm over here.
I seen it.
Now I'm running races every weekend, and it's just like I'm very proud of myself.
We're proud of you too. We're proud of you too. Let me ask you, what was so you've been single for 2 years now? Is that correct?
Been single for almost 8 years now.
8 years. So in that time span, what was the first? I asked Carlos the same thing. What was the first thing you grabbed onto after you got out of your relationship for yourself?
The first thing that I grabbed, I would say, would be my mental health, but also like because like I never like really I was saying, like I was always put other people first. Like I didn't really like take care of my health, like putting myself like, what do I want? What do I like to do? You know, that kind of thing. I always thought about the other person, like what would they want to do? And so after I broke up with that person, besides grabbing to focusing on my mental health, I also focused on fitness, because growing up I used to play soccer for almost 11 years. And when I moved to Houston in 2016, I grabbed onto fitness at LA Fitness, and it gave me time for myself to focus on myself, on my goals, on what I wanted to do, whether that was lose weight, gain muscle, become stronger, faster, things like that. So like Vicky knows, she's known me from Breathe More, and knows how like dedicated I am to my fitness. And so fitness has helped me a lot and finding myself as well.
Good.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
And I've seen all your races, boo. I see all your posts. I love it. You seem to be doing them back to back to back. I'm like, okay, get it, girl.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
I love it.
Maria, we appreciate you stopping in. I know, like we have been discussing, I know kind of going through some tough relationships is hard. And then probably that first couple months getting out of it is tough as well. But I'm glad you hopped onto yourself, your mental health, your fitness. That's huge. So we're rooting for you, and we appreciate you stopping in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, love.
Bye.
Have a great night. All right.
I'm not sure why that's still there. Hold up. That was. I don't know if she got out.
Hopefully she pressed the X.
There we go.
There we go.
We got it. We got it.
Are we taking one more? Or moving
all right.
solution?
I know. Yeah, we can take one more. One more. If somebody wants to come in, raise your hand. We can talk about a couple things.
Was there anyone else?
Questions.
We have time for one more person to hop in and share any of their experiences.
One more. Come on, be open. This is sharing day. Let's do it. One more.
Y'all don't be shy.
Oh man, they being shy. I see y'all back there.
They're being shy. I see Julius in here. Hey, honey. Joker.
So if we're not gonna get one more, let's go ahead and let's close this thing. I wanted to kind of, the one thing I do understand is I think people are kind of getting into understanding how to take care of themselves. I wanted to give 4 points specifically. Notice I asked a lot of questions with Carlos and Maria and even Vicky about what it is you did to kind of get yourself in a place of solitude. Again, not being alone, but a place of solitude. But in that space of being alone, because we're all going to face it at some point, what are 4 things you can kind of think about that can kind of get you into solitude? And so I wrote something down. The first one is be your own best host. I think a lot of times people take for granted their own personal space, you know, the cleanliness. What would you do if somebody was coming over that you really liked, right? How would you pick up your house? You know, what would you cook, right? If somebody was coming over, if you had a date coming over, what would you cook for them? You know, would you offer them wine? Do those things for yourself. Be a good host for yourself. I think that goes kind of underrated for people a lot. The next thing is realize that we are always connected. And I said this earlier, right? You're never really alone, right? There's this quote from a Buddhist monk, and I wanted to read it. He says, "When I was in solitary retreat, I knew that I was together with all the sentient beings in innumerable worlds. Even though I seemed to be alone in a small enclosed room, actually I was in company with many small ants who found their way inside. And there were many insects around the hut who created all kinds of sounds in the evening." So it's just something simple like that to know that you're never really alone. You're not alone. You're connected to other people. You're connected to all the beings on this planet. The next one is sit with it. I know that's hard, and we've mentioned that a lot. And hopefully we went through some things that people can use to sit with whatever it is they need to sit with. But being around people is a great way to avoid things within ourselves. So I want you to kind of look at yourself a little bit. Say, man, am I going to this hookah bar or this bar, or am I going to this restaurant because I just don't want to sit with myself? Like, ask yourself that. And some ways to kind of tell that you're avoiding things I wrote down are asking yourself this question: am I fidgety? Can I not sit still? Is it hard for me? Am I always moving? Am I always touching something? Are you using vices, right? Do you drink? Do you smoke weed? Do you need to be around people? Do you have sex? Is that something that you're using to avoid yourself? Are you taking care of your surroundings? Or are you more frequently angry, agitated? These are some ways that you can kind of tell that you're avoiding something within yourself. Then the last thing is chase your dreams. You know, I think we tend to adapt to our surroundings, and we tend to take on other people's likes, dislikes. So if somebody likes, you know, anime, if I like anime and a woman comes around me and she all of a sudden likes anime, maybe she'll lose herself in the process. But, you know, kind of go back to what it is you like. What are your dreams? What are your goals? Kind of like what we talked about with Carlos and whatnot. So, you know, those are 4 things that you can kind of do to sit with the aloneness that hopefully can kind of get you to move into solitude.
Absolutely. I love that. And I wrote down a few things that I want to share. And these are questions posed for people who are in relationships and perhaps thinking if being single or should they pursue a path of being alone, right? Mm-hmm. So the first question to ask yourself: do I experience peace in my daily life as it is? Mm-hmm. Okay. So really sit with that. Have a journal. Y'all remember I said I like real pen on real paper. Write things down. Really ask yourself, do I experience peace? Number 2, how many moments in the 24 hours of the day do you truly feel alive? Okay. Don't have to come up with an immediate answer. Just sit on that. Number 3, are you in a relationship because of fear?
That's a big one. Oh, yeah.
Number 4, how do you view time? Right? So the man-made entity of time. Like, since you guys have been tuned in, there's been an hour that's passed. And not to sound morbid, but essentially you are now an hour closer to dying. That's just the reality of it, right? Yeah. So when you understand and you live your life every day as if you are 1 hour, 1 day closer to death, you will begin to reevaluate the circumstances, the people, your career, what you're doing, your hobbies, how you spend your free time. You're going to begin to really evaluate those things with a more keen eye, because you're going to really appreciate, I'm not here forever.
Right.
So maybe I shouldn't be binge watching Housewives.
Nah.
Season 72 in Atlanta. And if any of y'all like that in the chat room, don't at me. I don't like that stuff. Listen, I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm just saying it's trash. But I wanted to add that it was Jordan Peterson who actually said this. I love Jordan Peterson. And he said that only miserable people have long lives.
Mm.
And I felt that.
Wow.
And I felt that. Because when you're happy, pursuing your purpose, life goes by like this.
It does. Because you're present.
Our entire existence in the time frame of just everything is nothing.
Yeah.
We live and die in less than a blink of an eye in the
agree.
universal time frame.
I agree.
But so, and yeah, take some time to think about your internal happiness and what you may need to heal. And then the last question is, when is the last time you were in nature? If you guys have been watching this for a while, you know that Abdul and I are huge fans of getting out into nature, not looking at a projection screen of nature, not looking at the LED whatevers of nature, like really just getting out and looking at the trees, flowers.
The sounds, the smell, the touch of nature. Yeah, getting that. Being
in nature, it'll help you answer a lot of questions you have about your life, a lot of uncertainties you may have. So I invite you to do that as well.
I agree. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Baby.
Absolutely.
I like that. Well, that's gonna do it for episode 11, guys. We greatly appreciate you all for tuning in. We will be back next week on Wednesday. We apologize for not advertising. We'll do a better job. Vic and I are extremely busy, so we'll do a better job of it.
Also, next Wednesday, you guys, if you were here and you saw Entering Manhood Part 1 with Soul Immortal, he's coming back next week. We're doing Part 2 of Entering Manhood. It's going to be epic. A lot of you guys have been in my DM saying how much you love Soul Immortal and his content. So if you guys really like what you're hearing, go check out his YouTube as well. Like, don't just listen to him on our show. Go look at his content. So, but definitely be tuned in next week for that. It's going to be fire.
We agree. Well, thank you guys again. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you guys next week. We love you. Thank you.
We love you. Bye.
Bye.